must have done good. We must have done good. Neil deGrasse Tyson, what can we do to fight against the anti-intellectual movement in America?
I blame some of that on the attitude that so many intellectuals had towards those who were not as smart as they were. We have a long history of just smart people discounting the views and the opinions and feelings of those who are not as well educated, and that can really piss off an entire demographic. So, at least I, as an educator, I try to not distinguish one from, I just bring everybody with you together to empower their critical thinking.
But some people don't want to learn.
No.
You have to admit that.
Well, no, you sound like the teacher who say, these students don't want to learn, rather than indict your own teaching habits as failing. Okay?
Well, it's some of both. It's some of both. I mean, you know, you can't let everybody off the hook. It's not like everybody's a good person.
Then you try harder with them. I mean, I can't, as an educator, I can't accept that.
So you think you could teach Donald Trump something?
No, I can, well, no.
No, really? I mean, this is like guys and dolls. It's a bet. You pick anybody, and I can teach. All right, Donald Trump. Okay. I will bet you $1,000 you cannot teach Donald Trump that the stealth bomber is not literally invisible.
No.
$1,000. What say? So we will meet at Lindy's tomorrow.
People are thinking that teaching is handing someone information to replace information that they had that is false.
Correct.
That's an aspect of teaching, but it's not the fundamental dimension of it. It's getting a person to understand why their thoughts are wrong to begin with. And then it's their own epiphany.
Good luck with Yeah, I don't think you could. I mean, he's not going to have an epiphany because, anyway.
Here's what I would tell him. I would say, look, Donald, innovations in science and technology are the engines of tomorrow's economy. And they will drive our health, our wealth, and our security. If you invest in science and technology today, that will be the country that you always wanted it to be.
And he'll say, that's why I'm abolishing Obamacare.
Yeah.
But that's the first thing he'll
get
say.
to the part about me.
Yeah.
But it's not anti-intellectualism. I think it's anti-science, anti-empirical truth. That's the bigger danger.
Because we are not taught in school what science is and how and why it works. What we're taught is a satchel of facts. And then you spit it back in the test and you move on to your next class. Science is a way of querying the world. It's a way of knowing what is true and what is not, and establishing the objective reality in which we all must function. Yeah. If you don't have those capabilities and you gain power, oh my gosh, that's the beginning of the end of an informed democracy.
And there is a large section of this country that is not, excuse me, interested in objective reality.
You get them interested.
And you get them. Well,
and they're not critical thinkers as well.
Yeah.
And you have to reach them where they are, and it's sometimes.
And you're right.
Okay, what's that? No.
Oh boy.
I didn't want to have to go here.
He doesn't like this.
I didn't want to have to go here, but let me just say.
Going down.
Okay. All right.
One of my 2 books that are on the bestseller list right now has been on the bestseller list for 71 weeks. It's been a cork. Listen to me. It's been a cork bobbing in tidewaters of Trump books that have come and gone.
How do I get my
Whether
book
or not I wrote that
weeks?
book, it is a science book on the bestseller list, and that gives me hope that somebody out there cares about an objective reality.
How many copies does a bestseller sell these days?
It's highly variable. So
well, just about how many copies has this sold? Just tell me.
The science of best-selling.
No. The total number is not what the bestseller is.
Just tell me how many copies the book has sold.
In total?
Yes.
Yeah, 1 million and change.
1 million?
Really?
1 million, yes.
Out of a country of 320 million?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's still not a lot of
Other people read English.
Yeah. What?
Other people in other countries read English.
Yeah. I know, but we're talking about America.
Oh, okay.
I want to say this country because I'm an American.
It's in 60 translations also, even if you don't read English.
But we're talking about America.
Okay, here's the point. It is in a sea of Trump books that come back and forth. So if you're going to talk about popular books, it's sitting there in the middle of Woodward's book on fear and all of these.
Yeah, there is always a small percentage of people who will be bright.
Let's 1 million?
Okay.
I'm liking the number 1 million.
Yeah, I like it too, but it's 1/300th of the country. April Ryan, do you was my point.
That was science. That was math.
April, yeah. Do you think we should bring back the equal time rule?
Yes. Yes.
And what is that?
The equal time. Well, first of all, let me break it down in science. So,
Bring it on.
all right, my brother. Hold on.
Okay.
So basically.
Sorry, you wasted that Tinder line on me.
So for those of you who don't know, remember when President Trump, then candidate Trump, was calling on Morning Joe when he liked Joe Scarborough,
Yes, I do.
Mika,
Yep.
and all
Sure.
other networks? Well, you didn't hear the other candidates calling in. They could have, because the equal time rule is gone. It's gone. They have not reinstated.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Like
if they could have done it as well. Like, if there was a rule, if there was the rule still in effect.
Right.
President Trump would be on the air, and they would have to give the equal time to other candidates.
I see.
That is no longer effect, and that's one of the reasons why
He won.
Donald Trump won.
Yeah.
That free advertising.
He owned the airwaves.
He took advantage.
He
He
owned the airwaves. But my question
And
is,
then-
Bill, why didn't the other candidates have the chutzpah to go in and say,
Right.
let me do this?
That's
It was
part
like they
of
were
it.
scared.
No.
Donald Trump played the street
There's a
game,
lot
and
of-
he won. And
you're right.
they were into this, thus thou, there art, wherefore. They said, this is not how it's done. And he played this street game.
Thus
I mean,
thou,
Where
there,
art for?
therefore,
Yes.
where art
art
thou?
thou? Yes.
That's everybody. All right. Okay. Evelyn, how should America deal with Russia post-Trump?
Oh my gosh. Well,
if there is a post-Trump.
I mean, I think the way that his administration, that is to say everyone but him in our government, is trying to deal with Russia,
Yeah.
which is spelling out to Russia that if they continue with this really horrible behavior, invading other countries, occupying them, messing with our elections, continuing to mess with our elections, poisoning and killing people in other countries, I can go on and on. There's a list of like 20 things. If they keep doing all that stuff, then we're going to
mostly
keep
our
sanctioning them. Mostly our elections.
That to
Thank
me
you
is
very
so much more.
We are American.
Ukraine, I
You
hope
said
you're
it.
happy, but
Yeah.
I don't care as much about Ukraine as I do about fucking with our election.
I'm with
is
you.
a major.
I'm with you.
That's like way up here, and then the rest of it. Sorry about the poison.
Well, I will say, though, a word about
It's an
Ukraine.
attack on our country.
Yes. But Ukraine is also an attack on
It's-
America in as much as it's an attack on the right of a country to say, I'm a sovereign country. We, the sovereign Ukrainian people, want to be associated with NATO and the European Union
Yes.
and the West, and we want to be democratic, and we don't want this guy in the Kremlin telling us how to live our lives.
Yeah.
So the answer to your question
I
is,
wouldn't send troops for it, but we should be stronger in.
And
right.
we didn't. I mean, we sent
Okay.
troops to train them. I think.
So
but
what do we
need-
do?
So we need to do more of the firm stuff because they won't cooperate with us until we are sufficiently across the board, consistently firm, all the way up to the president.
You know who's cooperating? Russian and American astronauts on the space station.
Yes.
Of course. They're in space. What are they going to fight in space?
Well, they've got the overview effect.
Well-
they look down. They don't see the
Okay.
color-coded
Yeah,
countries.
Okay.
They're fighting,
I know.
They're fighting
Okay.
over the floating
Yes.
food and
Yeah,
everything and all that
that's-
stuff.
But I will tell
Okay.
you, I
Yeah.
can't. I
That's-
can't go too far on this. And I'm. Can I call you Neil or Dr. Tyson?
No, Dr. Neil.
Dr.
No.
Neil. But they are. It is a troubled world up in space with Russia and China. I'll just leave it at that.
Right.
So
It's gonna-
the space
yeah.
station is one thing, and commercial space is one thing.
Maybe
but-
it'll lead the morality into the future.
Right.
Yes.
Space junk.
We gotta get rid of that.
Yeah.
Max, what do you think people are fascinated? Why do you think people are fascinated with doomsday dystopian futures?
Well, I mean, I think there's always this fear, especially in America, because I think there's something very deep about our isolationism. And we're always, remember, most of us came from someplace else.
Sure.
And we escaped, a lot of us escaped hardship. Our ancestors escaped hardship to come here. And there's always a subconscious fear that what we escaped will one day find us. And I think that's why there's always this terror, particularly because when times are even good, you have an explosion of post-apocalyptic movies, TV, video games.
So many movies about after the bomb went off.
Right.
And it's horrible, and it's scary, because like I say, movies do come true.
It's always there. And if I can go back to what you said about Russia, I think something happened recently that we need to be very aware of, is that the Russians just rioted because Putin raised the level of retirement, when you can retire. I think it was 65. Average Russian man dies at 66. And what that did is it exploded the myth that Russians will be able to sacrifice for the motherland and pay any price.
Right.
And that's been the idea that, oh, no, we can take the pain. Russia will be invincible. And that's bullshit. We can hurt them. We can make them bleed. And the Russians have been fighting in the gray zone. They've used economic warfare, information warfare, cyber warfare. We don't do any of that. We used to do it.
Right.
And it's time to get back in the game, and it's time to make Ivan bleed.
Hear, hear. All right, thank you, panel. Let's end on that happy note. Thank you, folks. All right.